everybody, we are back with another review, and today we got a special treat. We're going to be going over 6 products-ish that Funko has come up with, and some of them have evolved into other things, or I should say progress into other things in different product lines, and some of them kind of went nowhere. So today we're going to kind of check those out, and we're going to kind of check out some products that you guys have never even seen or maybe knew of that Funko has created. So without further ado, let's hop right into this review, and let's start off with the first one on my list, and it's in no particular order. It's not like the best one, the worst one. It's just 6. So first one we're going to talk about is going to be action figures. If you didn't know, Funko actually used to do some action figures, and here are some of the packaging from some of the action figures that they did drop. They dropped the Disney Afternoon set, and they had these DuckTales ones that they dropped, which I do have. And again, this is a Funko product, of course, right there. 2018 is when they ended up doing these. This is what it looks like out of the package. And again, I ended up doing a review. He just fell over. That's why his cane got all wonked out. But I ended up doing a review on this particular figure, and it ended up kind of bringing me into reviewing a lot of Funko products. Because I ended up doing a throwdown video between Fat Mojo and Funko, because they both did this Scrooge McDuck figure. They both did DuckTales plushies. They both did DuckTales minis. So it was kind of like a way to kind of examine 2 toy companies and how they execute creating Scrooge McDuck. And that's what I did my review on. And I kind of compared the two, how this monocle didn't have any clear lenses. It was just a piece of, yellow vinyl. This one actually had monocles on there, or monocles, his eyeglasses. But again, the accessories that these came with, the way they kind of hold them, like you can kind of see Scrooge is kind of holding his cane that way. And he can pretty much hold his cane anyway with the Funko one. He can raise his hand and the cane kind of moves with it, which is kind of neat too as well. It comes with this nice fat sack of cash, which was really nice. I like the articulation of the Funko one. It had elbow joints. And also, the one thing that you'll notice here is if you notice on the Fat Mojo one and the Funko one, this one, it looks like they almost didn't design the tunic right, because like the tunic is almost like too small, if you would. Like they designed it, and then when they went to go put it actually on the figure, it left a gap here. Like somewhere in the design there was a flaw, because there's definitely a gap there. I mean, it looks like they should be meeting there in the middle. His belt buckle is directly above that, so it's not his belt buckle, and that's on every figure that they made. So it was a real nice comparison in regards to like the quality aspect that both the companies kind of brought to I guess the toy collecting and the figure realm. But it was something, one of the first review products that I ended up doing actually on my channel here for Funko was their figures. So pretty cool, right? I think they did a great job with these. I've had no problem with any of these figures that they dropped. I think they're all great quality. I wish they would make more figures. I think they did a great job with this particular line of toys that they did. Certain toys that they do, like the cereals and whatnot, it was like they're like 9 out of 10 good. This is a 10 out of 10 good for me, the figures. The articulation, the stylized nature, the art, the paint application, the little accessories, I think are great. So I think this one is a total hit for me personally. But like I said, the cereals are, they got everything nailed down good with the cereals, and then they just didn't do any flavoring for some reason. They just had no flavoring, no different flavoring. They all tasted the same, and they all tasted like nothing. So next one on our list, we'll move down to number 5. Next one that we're going to actually talk about is going to be something a little bit more recent. And let me pull this over here. We'll get these expansions. This was a board game that they dropped in 2013, and this was called the Throwdown Rumble, and it's a board game that comes in this huge Batman container. Check this out. Let me see here. There we go. And everything is inside the board game here. Little jar, if you would. You even get some vinyl figures. You get a Batman vinyl figure, which is the same stylized nature as the tin, or the vinyl container here. And then we have some dice. We got some tokens, instructions, and then we have like a board game. I saved this because this is just the outer packaging for it, but it's the Throwdown battle game right there. And again, it's their first rendition, I guess you could say, as like a board game, if you would. But it came with these like stylized figures, and as you can see, what we're going to do now is we're going to check out some of the newer versions of the board games that this has evolved into, or I should say progressed into. But we'll keep these out. Let's close this up again, and let's put this off to the side, because they just came out with 2 years ago the Funkoverse game, which is an evolved version of this particular game right here, this is a very very updated version, if you could say, of what we just looked at. Again, there is some accessories now in the newer version. We still have these like Pog tokens, if you would, the cardboard tokens. We have some gem stones there for markers. And we also have some 6-sided dice. So again, a very similar game. And you get these action figures. You get these little vinyl figures. I don't want to ruin Joker's hair. Let's yank him out of there. But you get these vinyl figures that these are more stylized like in a pop nature, and these are stylized in the Blox nature from the line of Blox figures that Funko has dropped as well. But as you can see, both, you know, Jokers, same, you know, outfit, if you would. Just, again, a different stylized nature. This one comes with 4 figures, which is cool because you could play up to 4 players. This one is a 2-player version. So, again, a 2013 model, 2018 model. Is this 2018 or 2019? 2019, actually, when this came out. But anyway, so like I said, a little bit more of an updated version. This one has a little bit of a different type of a board as well. It's not folded up as compact. It's actually a very large board. And with this, you could actually, just like in this Rumble, the Rumble thing basically explained in the instructions that you could add expansion sets to it. You could even add characters that aren't Batman and play them in the game as well. Which is kind of like what Funkoverse has done. Because here's one of the expansions. Now, this expansion right here is the Catwoman and Robin expansion for the Funkoverse board game. But you could also add ones like this one, which I picked up at ECCC, and it's a Darkwing Duck expansion. And this can be used with my Batman game as well, which is totally awesome to have Darkwing Duck and Batman on the same board game board. So that's pretty dope, right? Like I said, these are some products right here that Funko has kind of taken to the next level over the years. And then, like, what we're going to talk about next is some products that kind of didn't go anywhere. They just didn't really go anywhere beyond what you ended up seeing already and the only initial release of them. And here's a great example of that. We got the Pop Home. Yes, they did Pop Home mugs. They did a bunch of characters. I know they did the DC ones for sure. I don't know what Marvel ones they did or the entire line of these. Again, these came out in, let's see. Do we have it on the bottom? We do not have a date on the bottom. I think I looked for the date originally when I unboxed these, and I did not find one. But I'm looking again, and I do not see any type of date. 2016 maybe, because there's an S16, so I'm going to go with 2016 on this, which seems about right for when this would have dropped. But we got Pop Home here, and again, it's a huge Superman mug. I mean, you get like a bowl. It's like a bowl of soup, basically. But it's cool because it kind of has the stylized nature of the Pop head, which is, I mean, awesome. And if you're a Pop collector, you're a Pop fiend, you're a Pop fanatic, this is definitely something to have in your collection, is one of these Pop mugs. And they have a ton of these still at a reasonable price. You can find them on all these reselling websites. I picked mine up from Gemini Collectibles, which I think he still has some in stock. So like I said, they're still around, but they don't make any new versions of it. This was it. They made this, and that's it. It didn't evolve into anything else, at least not yet. I haven't seen anything else come out where it was something you could drink out of. They came out with some cereal bowls, but they were plastic, so it would be like a downgrade. So I don't think that's like something that came from that. And then another product which they created, and they haven't seen anything come from it, is this Blox line. So like we talked about earlier with the stylized nature of these little board game pieces and the container that it's in, it kind of has this Blox type of a look to it, or a type of stylized nature, like the Joker one for sure, where he has the squared shoulders and everything. And again, Blox, it's vinyl with an edge is what they called it. And this came out in 2012. This was an older model toy from Funko, and these were kind of expensive, $18 back in 2012, and it's a flat piece of vinyl. You could pretty much, I think at the time, you were able to get like 10-inch pops for about that price. Just right around $20. I remember 10-inch pops were about $20 at one point, and then they jumped right up to $30. But anyway, here we go. We got the Blox here, vinyl with an edge. Again, this is a Funko Shop old school product. You got number 1 and number 2 right there, and that's how they line up. But an older one, here you go. You can see how they can stack from the side as well. But it's Blox, you know what I'm saying? It's a figure that you don't really see anymore. I mean, you don't see these at all anymore. And the fact that I was able to scoop those up was kind of crazy off of a toy website like Gemini, which is like, you know, a known place, and these have been around for a while, and I'm surprised they haven't sold out, I guess is really what I'm trying to say. But next thing is another product which I actually really like and doesn't really have much popularity in the realm of toy collecting. I mean, a few people have them, but I don't see a lot of people with them. And that is the Hikaris that Funko came out with. And most of these are a limited piece. As you can see here, this is a 3,000 piece Optimus Prime right here. And these Japanese inspired, I guess, vinyl figures is from the soft vinyl figures that the Japanese culture really likes. I guess they really like the soft vinyl figures over there, and that's exactly what these are. And we have some Hulk ones over here too. We got a glitter version of the Red Hulk right there, which is actually really cool. And again, you got a 1,200 piece Red Hulk here, you got a 2,800 piece regular Hulk, and then you have a 3,000 piece Optimus Prime. So they're all different limited runs, but these are all molds that somebody created by hand, and then they ended up turning this into a production of 3,000 pieces of that. But this mold was created by somebody. And then it is here, you know, obviously they did the molding process, and they ended up creating these vinyl figures, and they only made 3,000 of the Optimus Prime ones. And I mean, like the Hulk, there's only 2,800 of these out there. So that's pretty cool. And I like the stylized nature of them. They kind of have a tiki vibe to them, a old school tiki vibe. But then again, they also have that nice Japanese inspired soft vinyl look to them as well. And again, even the glitter tones they do with these, with the clear vinyl, with the glitter in them, I mean, really actually looks kind of awesome. I'm not a fan of glitter pops, and I'm also not a fan of diamond pops. The glitter is inside the vinyl like those, the diamond is on the outside. But I think the way that these work with these really well, I mean, like the Red Hulk one looks super cool. But Hikaris, these are something that, if you're not familiar with these, Funko definitely made these, and you can still find them at a reasonable price. Most of them are priced, even though they're such a limited run, you could pretty much scoop up these anywhere between $30 and $60. I mean, some of them demand more money, depending on what character it is, or what the piece count is. But like I said, you can pretty much pick up those for anywhere between $30 and $60. Like I said, there's outliers. There's also ones that are cheaper than $30, depending on the character. I think you get like Bumblebee from the Transformers line for like maybe $24. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. The next one is going to be these Tentastics. And I'm going to show you kind of some ideas that I had from what these evolved into. But these are some Tentastic tins. These came out in 2013 and 2014, as you see on the bottom. There's the 14 and there's the 13. We have an Iron Man one, and then we have a Ninja Turtles one, which is kind of cool, actually. So let me show you what these are. They're kind of like a back-to-school kit for kids. It came with 2 branded Ninja Turtles pencils, and it has that font from like the 90s on there and the 90s TV show, which is really cool. It comes with a sticker sheet, which has all 4 turtles on there, and it has the Turtles logo with the Pop logo. So if you don't have a Pop sticker, that's kind of cool, right? These are actually pretty hard to find for some reason. I don't know why these are so hard to find. It also comes with 2 erasers, which is cool. Check this out. They're almost like little pocket pops, which is honestly what I think these evolved into, is some pocket pops. These little erasers, I think people really, say 2013 on the back, I think people really like these. I mean, I did. I know they don't sell them anymore. I mean, I definitely dig these. I think these are totally cool. We'll check out the Iron Man one in a second. But they have these little figurines that are just about the size of a pocket pop, and I have some over here in a second. We're going to pull over here. But I kind of think this kind of inspired a few things from Funko to create. The tins themselves are really, really cool. I mean, it's kind of like a tiki totem, but it's also like a soda. It's also like a branded tin from Funko. I just kind of gave a little bit of a teaser there for what I'm going to talk about next. We got some Iron Man 3 pencils here. Again, these are the a little bit shorter variety pencils compared to a full-size pencil, but it has to fit in the tin, so you know what I mean. Here's the Iron Man 3. You got War Machine, and then you got Iron Man right there. You got some little pew-pew-pews, the logo, and then another Pop sticker. And then in here, of course, you have the 2 little figurines, which are erasers, just like the turtle ones. And I think that's really cool. And honestly, I think that this thing kind of inspired a few other things, and some of the things that I think it actually inspired is something like the soda. Because here we have a Raphael soda, and here's the Raphael can. And let me get it shut. I honestly do think that this kind of inspired the soda line to come to be, because I think the Tentastics were a great idea, and I really dig them. And they weren't expensive either. I'm pretty sure these kits were under $10 to get this. I mean, you're picking it up for your kid, and you're pretty much going to pay that already for something else. The Funko one's kind of cool. So, and I think that the sodas kind of, obviously they have other things inspired into them. There's a Pog involved. There's a vinyl figure involved. There's chases. So there's a lot of things that definitely inspired the soda. But I definitely think that the soda can itself kind of came from an inspiration from the Tentastics line. That's my personal opinion. And I think that these things, these pencils, these pens, these kind of evolved to other things. Like, I think that these pencils kind of evolved to things like this, where we have now a pop pen and it has a little topper pop on top, which that little popper top, you could pop that little pop right off on that top. Say that 5 times fast. But we got a Scareglow one there, which is really cool. They even have ones like Wolverine. And I mean, these are like little mini figurines. And again, it's kind of like they took the eraser, put it on the top of the pencil, and then turned it into a vinyl figure. There's a little Hulk one. I mean, like I said, there's tons of these pop pen ones. But then again, these erasers too, I also think kind of inspired these little pocket pops that they ended up coming out with. I have a Hulk one right here. But again, it's not an eraser, but it started out as an eraser, I think, and then it kind of evolved to something like this, where there's like standalone figures here and they don't have holes in their head. This isn't like an actual pocket pop. There's no hole in the head. But I think it had to kind of go through the steps. And here's another one. Here's Venom. Obviously no hole in the head. But yeah, I think that a lot of these things, these earlier products like the Tentastics, like the Throwdown board game, I think kind of gave inspiration to these newer stuff that we're more familiar with. At least, I wasn't collecting Pops in 2012 and 2013, me personally. So if you were, that's awesome. But like knowing that like these things existed before Pops kind of lets you see the connection between the two, if that makes any sense. So we'll toss these back in the containers. But I mean, me personally, I think the sodas definitely got some kind of inspiration from the Tentastics line right here as well. So, but I think that these, if they brought these back, I don't think they could probably do maybe a $10 price point. I don't think they could do cheaper than $10 at this point with the amount of popularity that Funko have gotten over the past at least 3 or 4 years. Next thing we're going to talk about is actually something you're probably more familiar with, is the Pop, the actual Funko Pop itself, and kind of where it kind of started from and evolved from. And some products that maybe you didn't even know existed. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the Wacky Wobbler. We're going to use Boba Fett here because he's one of my favorite characters to collect, and I have all of his stuff pretty much. So we have here the first edition of Wacky Wobblers. Now we have a few variations of this, of course. This one came out in, we even have a year on this one, 2007. So this is a 2007 bobblehead. Now they were making bobbleheads way before that, but I figured I'd use my character. This is when they just came out with Boba Fett, but I figured I'd use my character, my favorite character over here, to kind of illustrate this. And here are some other variations of the box. As you can see, it's the same wobbler, but you can see the different stages of these. So then we have a 2007, we have a 2009, and then which one is this? This is a 2010. So 2007, 2009, 2010. So you can see in series here, these are all 3 of the original Boba Fett ones. And let's go to the next step. So it went from these Wacky Wobblers, which were the bobblehead affixed to the base, as you can see, the Boba Fett, right? It kind of reminds you of like how the Pops are now, right? The next thing they came out with was this thing called the Funko Force, which has a little bit more of the exaggerated features, if you would. But he was a standalone bobbler. He did not have a base. And again, we use Boba Fett for this one. He is a standalone bobbler, no base, but he does have like larger feet, exaggerated feet. And I mean, look at the size of those hands, you know what I'm saying? Like compared to his head. And as you can see, they kind of toned back those features now when they started crafting Pops. And really the only thing that is left exaggerated is the head, the bobbler, the actual wobble head, because it's a little bit oversized in some figures. You know what I'm saying? It's a little exaggerated, if you would, in some figures. But the Funko Force, this came out, when did this come out? Was this 2010 as well? 2009. So as you can see, these kind of overlapping were the Wacky Wobbler, and then it kind of transitioned into this line called the Funko Force. And then from there, it kind of evolved into the Pop, which we're going to pull out here in a second. Now, the Funko Force, as you can see, the container of this is cylindrical. It is not easy to stack on top of each other. It's kind of inconvenient. And as you can see, the Wacky Wobbler did have something going on here, but they had, maybe a little bit too much window. Although I do kind of like how the Wacky Wobbler has all this window, but I imagine this is probably prone for vulnerability of getting damaged. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're having these older ones and trying to find those. So the Pop at least has one corner that you really got to worry about. But like I said, the exaggerated features of the Wobbler basically has been toned down. And the next thing that we ended up getting is, as you can see here, let me take him actually out of the Actually, you know what? We'll leave this one. We'll take this one out. Here is Boba Fett. This is a newer one from Smuggler's Bounty. Here's one of the original Boba Fetts. We'll slide this over here. And then we have an out-of-box Jango Fett. So, as you can see here, we went from kind of like this stylized nature to this. You kind of see how the head is still kind of exaggerated. The arms and hands and the feet are kind of normal style, I guess, as you would scale to the body, if you would. He kind of has droopy pistols. But this actual Jango Fett came in a Nintendo Wii game, and it didn't come with a box. It actually comes inside the game box and goes in there with the game, so, and has a little display window for it, but it never actually came with a box. But it has a base. I have his base over there. I just grabbed the figure, and this was back when Star Wars figures were detachable from the base. This was 2012, this Jango Fett, and like I said, 2009 Funko Force. We also have here a Boba Fett from 2013. So I figured I went to the Boba before, or the Jango before the Boba, because again, 2012, 2013. Now I'm going to take the Boba Fett out of the box. I'm going to grab Excalibur, and we're going to see what we got here. Again, original Boba Fett, blue box Boba Fett, 2012. You can see there he is not. I was going to show you that he is not attached to his base, and that's what we're trying to show you here. So let me delicately pop him out of the box. Yeah. All right. Here's some classic Boba Fett action. Very, very careful with Mr. Boba Fett. This is an old school one. So, now the Jango Fett doesn't have little peg holes. So the 2012 Jango Fett does not have peg holes. He just has a plain base that you can literally position him any which way you want. You don't even have to have the Star Wars logo facing outward for that. But for the Boba, he's got it where you got to either face him. Well, you got to face him that way, or you can flip it around and face him the opposite way. But you got Boba Fett right there. Again, pretty dope in regards to the stylized nature of how they toned it down from, in 2009, we had this, a more exaggerated figure, to this. And then, as you can see, the progressionary steps that we've gone through here with at least Boba Fett, I'm going to show you a newer, more modern stylized nature of the pop. So let's take him out of the hard stack. I'm just going to slide him out the hard stack. We're not going to take him out of the box at the moment. Oh, actually, we should. He looks really cool. So we'll pop him out the box as well. Let's see what we got in regards to the comparison for the stylized nature. Ooh, yeah. Wow. Super sick. All right. Here is Boba Fett with his jetpack. So you can see the stylized nature over the course of, what, about 10 years? When did this one come out? This one came out in 2016. So it's a little bit older. So maybe not quite 10 years, but you could see almost 10 years the difference of how it progressed from this, and from this to this. Because that's sick, right? That is super sick. And this is probably one of my favorite pops. Definitely one of my favorite Boba Fett ones is this one. I mean, the 10-inch Boba Fett's sick, but him with the jetpack is sick. And he actually has the most plumes coming out of his jetpack compared to the Mandalorian and Jango Fett. So I think that's kind of cool too, actually. But yeah, I hopefully this video kind of showed you guys maybe where some things kind of got inspiration from, and maybe hopefully I showed you some products that maybe you didn't even know existed, because there's quite a few Funko products we didn't even feature in this video, but these were just some that I wanted to feature and that I particularly had in my collection, and kind of tie them into how I saw how they inspired other things that I had in my collection. Just by reviewing those things independently, I was able to see the tie-ins and kind of share those with you. So why don't you let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the products that I shared in this video? Which one were some of your favorite ones? Which ones do you have in your collection? And which ones did you not know even existed? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Want more content like this, subscribe for more, because I do reviews every single day. So look out for that, and have a great rest of your day.